Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say.
This wasn't just another political debate. This was The View completely losing control. The hosts, known for their fiery takes and relentless questioning, were left scrambling when Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history, fired back at their attacks.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time.
But it wasn't just a debate. It was an exposure of mainstream media hypocrisy that sent shockwaves across the internet. Did Joy Behar really suggest that Leavitt's success was based on her looks?
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
Did The View just reveal their own double standards in real time? And more importantly, is legacy media losing its grip on controlling the narrative? Buckle up, because this story is bigger than just one argument. It's about a media empire under siege. Karoline Leavitt made history as the youngest White House press secretary, a role that demands intelligence, quick thinking, and the ability to handle relentless media scrutiny. But from the moment she stepped into the spotlight, mainstream outlets didn't just question her policies. They questioned her right to be there at all.
Democrats and the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
Instead of recognizing her achievement, left-leaning networks and commentators immediately attacked her credibility. Was she too young? Too inexperienced? Was she just a token hire? These were the questions that dominated headlines, pushing a narrative that undermined her qualifications before she even had a chance to prove herself. But nothing compared to what happened when she appeared on The View. As soon as Karoline took her seat, the tension was palpable. The panel wasted no time launching into their usual line of questioning, but it was Joy Behar who made a comment that sent shockwaves through the conversation. Behar, in her usual blunt style, suggested that Leavitt had only secured her position because of her looks, implying that she was handpicked for optics rather than merit. The irony? The View has spent years branding itself as a champion of women's empowerment, and yet, in one moment, Behar dismissed a young, accomplished woman, not because of her policies, not because of her political alignment, but because of her appearance. Karoline didn't hesitate. She fired back with controlled confidence, pointing out the glaring hypocrisy.
You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and all of this other BS, quite frankly. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world.
If a conservative man had said this about a liberal woman, the outrage would be deafening. But here, the audience was expected to nod along. The studio fell into an awkward silence. The hosts weren't prepared for this level of pushback, and they certainly weren't ready for what came next. Realizing the conversation was spiraling, Whoopi Goldberg jumped in to pivot the discussion. She attempted to frame Leavitt's appointment as just another example of wokeness in politics, implying that conservatives were just as guilty of tokenizing people for diversity optics.
Said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table.
But Karoline wasn't about to let that slide. She calmly but firmly corrected Whoopi, stating that wokeness isn't about true inclusivity, it's about enforcing ideological conformity.
How ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
Real diversity, she argued, comes from allowing different viewpoints to be heard, not silencing those who challenge the mainstream narrative. This was a direct challenge to the way The View operates. Instead of open discussions, many critics believe the show has become an echo chamber, pushing a singular narrative and shutting down any dissenting opinions. And in this moment, Karoline had exposed that live on air. This wasn't just a one-off awkward exchange. It was a textbook example of how conservative women are treated differently in the media. Compare the treatment of Karoline Leavitt to someone like Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary under Biden. While Jean-Pierre has faced her share of criticism, media outlets largely praised her historic appointment. They celebrated her identity as a milestone for progress. But when a young, conservative woman rises to prominence, suddenly identity and diversity take a back seat, replaced by skepticism and scrutiny. The message is clear. If you don't align with the right political ideology, your success isn't celebrated. It's questioned. And that's exactly what millions of viewers noticed in real time. After the episode aired, social media exploded. Clips of the exchange went viral, sparking an intense debate about mainstream media bias. Conservatives praised Karoline for standing her ground, refusing to let the hosts steamroll her with their usual tactics. Even some liberals admitted that Bahar's comment was out of line, with a few even calling for her to apologize. But Karoline wasn't done. Instead of just moving on, she used the moment to make a larger point about the state of American media. In a follow-up statement, she didn't just call out The View, she called out the entire industry, accusing them of systematically discrediting conservative voices while protecting their own. She even hinted at new press policies under the Trump administration aimed at holding mainstream outlets accountable.
Get on board, or they can prepare to lose another election just like they did on November 5th. These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wait.
Ensuring a more balanced media landscape. This isn't just about one debate or one episode of The View. It's about a shift happening right before our eyes. For years, legacy media outlets controlled the narrative. They decided which stories got attention, which voices were amplified, and which were silenced. But with the rise of independent media, alternative platforms, and social media influencers, that monopoly is breaking down. Karoline Leavitt's moment on The View wasn't just a win for her. It was a symbol of this shift. It proved that mainstream media can no longer silence dissenting voices without backlash. The real question now is, are we witnessing the downfall of legacy media's influence? If The View thought they could control this narrative, they were dead wrong. Instead of embarrassing Karoline Leavitt, they exposed their own hypocrisy. And instead of shutting down her voice, they amplified it. This is bigger than just one talk show. It's about the future of media, the credibility of journalism, and the power of the people to demand truth over propaganda. What do you think? Is mainstream media losing control? Is this the beginning of a major shift in how we consume news? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest political media battles of our time.